night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Ian. Ian, are you there?
Oh, yeah!
Oh, no, we got fucking Macho Man Randy Santa.
That was so... Oh, God.
Yes, we are here to continue on our Christmas Murderland marathon, and it's been a doozy. And we decided, after all the spankings last week and the double dose of Krampus, we'd try to get away, and luck have it, we have 3 Krampuses.
All by accident.
Yeah. But we decided to do something a little different with this week's, and there was 3 anthology Christmas films, and luck, they got put on a wheel and spun, and that's how we got our film tonight with Down the Chimney with a Shotgun. As I mentioned, it's a horror anthology with 7 stories, interlock stories that all delve with, I mean, some of them don't really delve with Christmas that much, but they're just like, they're talking about like folklore and some like, you know, Swedish or German or Russian characters from, you know, just legend. And some of them not really all that much, with especially the second story. But I guess we'll get into this, Ian, because this is the thing. It's a very short movie. It's only 71 minutes and 7 seconds. So it's a very short watch, but it's a long one. It's one of those like Devil May Care where it's just like, ooh, it's short, but it's a long watch. Because it's not the most interesting, even though I'll rephrase it. Even though it has the most heart of the films, it's not the most interesting or entertaining. But we'll get into it. So again, the beginning of the film, we are introduced to a lot of animated storyboards. That's prevalent throughout the film, and there is a escape patient, serial killer, and he's on the loose, and he comes to this house. Again, it's all, here it is, you know, no explanation most of the time. And there's this woman that that's another thing. Like, a lot of the stories just has people with bags over their head. But I digress. That's just a little nod, you know, thing I just like, oh yeah, that happens a lot. She had a bag over her head, or sack, and he takes it off, and the killer, escape patients in a Santa outfit holding a shotgun, and he decides, I'm just gonna take you hostage and tell you Christmas stories. And that's what he does. He just, and it just cuts back to him every so often talking about other things. So it's like, it's not really superfluous to anything really. Um, so the very first story is the Christmas Boogeyman, and this is basically a folkloric scarecrow film. And the gist of the story is like there's a husband who's abusive to his wife, and then the wife dresses up in sexy Christmas lingerie or an outfit, kills her husband, and then she gets attacked by a scarecrow. Um, Again, these stories are short and to the point. um, so again, I'll read down the list of the titles and then we'll go back and forth. The Christmas Boogeyman, as I mentioned, Christmas Hell, Santa's Little Scalper, Christmas no, Krampus Xmas Devil, which basically turns around to be the wraparound story, Christmas Witch, and Butcher's List. Um, and then we'll go into stories here in a second, but I'll give my thoughts. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's fine. Um, it, there's a lot of missed opportunities, but it's one of those that's just like he's doing everything he can within his means of his budget limitations. So a lot of the effects are not very good, especially probably my favorite moment of the film that involves a semi, um, which is great. It's just I love those shitty moments like that. It's just like fucking ridiculously stupid, where it's just like piss poor CGI, and like he's trying, but man, that dude was taller than the fucking semi. Um, and so some of the stories, again, some as with most anthologies, most are better than others. Um, but he's doing again the best that he can. I mean, it was a released by Wild Eye or picked up by Wild Eye. So if you ever seen a Wild Eye film, you pretty much know the budget limitations and constraints, and some of them are we reviewed many of them as well over the years, but they're very as cheaply made as you can possibly do. And this is one of those where like there's a lot of heart and sort honestly kind of dedication to it. Um, but it just there's not a lot there to go back and forth with like the stories. They're just in and out. It's like fast food. It's a cheap hamburger from McDonald's. It's and then you're hungry in an hour, and that's how it is. Um, like the stories are fine. The effects are I mean, there's some okay gore effects in a few parts towards the end and the middle. But they're just like just a fake severed hand or just a mannequin body part, something like that. Um, Again, a lot of the storyboard animations are decent. Trying to portray get the folkloric aspect of the stories across first. Um, which is because you get more history on the witch and the Krampus and just like hell in general. That was kind of interesting, and then of course like the Scarecrow character. Um, so it's like there's good intentions, but it's that budget restraint is just kind of not the best, but it makes do with what it is. I mean, again, it's not. I wouldn't it's kind of hard to compare and contrast it now with the previous two Krampus films because there's good intentions as mentioned, and there's things I liked and didn't, but it's still kind of vanilla. But Ian, I'll give your thoughts, and then we'll go back and forth, and maybe we'll get into the spoilers of the story.
Yeah. So I thought the movie was definitely a little bit better than the last two. Uh, by
I mean, that's a technicality.
yeah. Uh, like I felt like they tried. This was more passion project, not just throwing shit at the wall and hoping to paint a picture. Um, and I felt like that was the problem with the last two movies. They had no idea what they wanted or where they wanted to go. They
Well,
just wanted to do. And but this movie, I kind of liked the idea of it. Yeah, it was very goofy and silly on some, like most of it. while trying to portray itself as a little bit more, serious. But the movie wasn't too bad. I honestly like the first anthology was pretty forgettable.
Well, it's just like
Like,
it kind of it's like not even like again like we brought it up. We'll get into the stories here soon, but like oh he just wants his dinner. He's just a, a you know overbearing jackass, sort of abusive husband, and she's had enough of it, and she just kills him, and then she goes outside, and then like she gets attacked by the scarecrow. I'm like, that's kind of shitty, but
right?
yeah,
Um, and well, like it was just barely much to the story other than that dude yelling at her. It
yeah.
was just, very, very forgettable. Um, the second one was pretty decent.
Well, the
With
second
this,
one with Christmas Hell, and it's just about a guy that wakes up in hell basically, and he's going around just place to place, like tables and hallways and doorways, and um,
yeah,
there's like some lights and stuff like that, and it's just and again, we're going to be getting into spoilers because there's only that's the only way to talk about it. But again, you come to find out that he's he doesn't know where he's at first, and then he find out that he's uh, died by someone and he's in hell. And it's very similar to another film, Flowers. It's about the girls that are dead by the serial killer, and they roam his house and they watch him do things in like their past lives. And it's like very similar to that, but it's just one guy roaming through a place and then ultimately dying again by the a fucking great scene.
yeah.
that's that's all that. It's like I don't know if you can get better than that. Um, because again, I love shoddy CGI is just something when the very low budgets, and you always see how you always want to know. Like again, last week with the gunshot from the gun, and this one with this truck. I mean, at least it's a little bit better than the exploding, the A bomb going off with the gunshot. But
No, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the, yeah, especially like what you're saying, spoilers. Because how do you talk about a 5 minute, like what a series about? Well, it felt longer than that. It's probably
yeah,
like
I
what
mean, they're about like maybe 10.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I was trying to think. I was like, it's an hour and what?
11
Well, yeah, an hour and 11 minutes long. Um,
and 7 stories.
I kind of felt like they, the wraparound story. My problem with that one was one, yes, the voice, which is what I did in the beginning.
Yeah,
I, I
because
couldn't help
the
myself.
Santa the escaped psychopath in the Santa outfit with a shotgun is trying his best to be Macho Man, but he just can't quite reach it. So he's doing this sort of almost lisp like Macho Man, and it's just he's talking like the tongue at the roof of the top of his mouth.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that right there, I just was kind of like, I thought that was completely unnecessary, but I guess they just wanted to try to make it funny. Um, which
They're
I
trying to
felt
give
like
like
it
rough,
tried too hard. Yeah.
grizzled, grizzled psychotic killer. I mean, it makes sense, but he couldn't do it, and the only thing he could do is a Macho Man, half-assed Macho
Yeah.
Man, and like that's fine, whatever. I mean, it stands out.
No, yeah, it definitely stands out like mentally. I was just like, I kind of felt like it was unnecessary. But then again, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But um the truck scene was probably the most memorable where it just
He was so he the
it's so bad.
size differential to that is just like he is the size he's standing to the top end of the truck bed, It's just like Jesus, that's he's looking over the semi. The size differential's way off. You need to make him smaller. And I was like, oh,
No, yeah, but that That's one of the charms about
I'm gonna
these kind of
probably
movies.
clip that and put it on our Instagram page because I've been doing that for like some of the more outlandish scenes of like films I've been watching, and I'm probably gonna clip that, and so it'll be there for everyone to watch.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, it's kind of funny. Um, I mean, like you said, you got to work with what you got.
Yeah.
Like that's absolutely reasonable. Like I'm not gonna fault this movie for having shitty graphics
No.
because at least they tried to do something. And you know this. I mean, just while this movie wasn't great, it was still better than
No, there was effort. There was effort besides
Granny
just
Krampus.
smacking women on the ass with rods. I mean, and repeating the same dialogue over and over and over and over. At least each story was different. Besides having the burlap sacks over the women, people's heads. I mean, that was the only thing in the animations. But at least, again, they're animated sequences. It was storyboards. It wasn't like full on animation, but it was decent storyboards for trying to portray stuff without showing a lot. Um, but the third story is Santa's Little Scalper, and this honestly I think we're both going to agree was the best segment of the of the anthology. It's just there's again I'm going back to my heydays of other earlier films. There's another film called Lucky, where it's about a guy who lives alone and he talks to a dog, and it's like very similar to that, where it's a guy that lives alone and he's talking to a Christmas doll, and it's just he's talking to him and saying, "Oh, why don't you go do this, go do that," and he's just like random conversations, and then it kind of I don't really want to spoiler this one, but there's a good set piece at the end of it. I mean, but it is the best of the anthology, and the doll looks cool. For
Yeah,
it's like again like with these anthologies, it's like Holiday Hell. How that Jewish Nutcracker doll was pretty cool. And it's like this one at least. I mean, it's fine. And then 13 Slaves with the spider creepy doll thing that was
yeah.
interesting. So the dolls in these anthology films do kind of stand out the most, in my opinion.
I love doll films so much,
Except for
even
Evil
though I'm
Little
terrible.
Playthings. Yeah.
Well, some doll movies. So I should say I love the genre of dolls,
Yeah.
except for when they teleport, and I don't know. But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean the dolls in this movie were actually top notch, and those I kind of wanted the doll from the witch one. Let's see if I can find it because it looks like they just bought something off of either just off of Amazon or some creepy doll website. I don't know. I'm sure there's a creepy doll website. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole because I actually am terrified of dolls. But yeah, and then what? The last I didn't really like the last one.
Let's see the Christmas Witch. Well, I didn't get your opinion on. You didn't give your opinion on Satan's Little Scalper. What? I mean, I
Oh shit.
assumed we both agreed it was the best one, but any other opinions?
Um. Well, I'm trying to. I was trying to think of how I can do these without super spoilers.
Yeah,
But
like
no, yeah,
all
no,
of them. This is the one not to really give spoilers on.
right. Um. Well, yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I think it definitely was one of the better ones. I did like that was I'm getting the two doll movies, the anthology was kind of blurring together because I'm trying to remember this film
Well,
because
this
I
is the one
was
that's on the
in
couch
and
and
out.
has like the deformed sort of like
Yeah.
meteor, moon shaped face, like the
Yeah.
craters in
Yeah.
his
That's
face.
the one. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of because I didn't remember what the names of these were. um, but yeah, no, yeah, she looks creepy.
Yeah.
That one had the most creep factor to it, and I wasn't creeped out by the doll as much as the woman.
Again, I think that was like the more concisive story because it
It
was just
really was.
yeah.
That came out of nowhere, and I was like, okay, this girl is creeping me out more than this doll. Like I felt like the doll was trying to save him, but I was like, whatever, run, dude. And it was the most realistic one too. He was like, "I'm going to bed," but whatever.
Yeah. But
Just,
yeah, it's definitely
just
like I
like
said,
the
there's a
ambience.
lot to like with that one. I mean, it's short and sweet, but again, I really thought it's like again after the truck scene and like, well, I should have recanted my statement, like, but again because the third, Santa's little scuffle is pretty good. I mean, that the truck scene has the best moment, but this was the best segment. So,
Yeah, it
um,
really that
the
was.
next thing was the Krampus storyboard, which just told you the lore Krampus, and then we get into Christmas Witch, which is
Oh no, did I lose you? I think I lost you. Oh, yep, we lost him. He'll be back any moment, hopefully. His internet goes in and out. Yeah, no, I was thinking of when it came to the doll movies, I was switching the which one. Um, hopefully he comes back in a second. Oh, Havoc joined.
I'm back.
Welcome
Internet,
back.
yeah, my internet cut out. Of course, one little hiccup in the show, but as I was saying, she has these little elves that sit around the house, and he's starting to look at them and wondering, like, hey, do you just have one or you have multiple? Oh, I just have the one, and she's very adamant on baking, and she just wants to bake. She knows all her recipes by memory, and then it ultimately ends up where Hansel and Gretel situation where she eats them. And it's all right. It wasn't anything amazing. This was it's fine. It's just like there's really nothing to this one, and it was just like it was there. It was a bridge the gap in a sense situation. I mean, there were some okay effects. As you said, the doll was okay. It was cheap. I mean, it's just like as you said, it was very sort of elf on the shelfish looking with a demonic looking face. Um, but yeah, it wasn't anything special in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have Butcher's List, which I liked. I mean, it wasn't very. It was just like gore in a sense. It was just like just one of those like gore films segments where it's just a guy in a butcher's mask chopping up body parts and hands and wrapping them in newspaper. Girl's tied up, gagged, cuts her arm off, and then they fight. And then, that's pretty much all that one was. And again, not very Christmassy either. It just, I mean, I liked it better than the Christmas Witch because I liked the gore aspect of it, and it was just, you know, simple in your face, sort of shocking with like a quirky ending at the end of it. Um, it wasn't too bad. What's your thoughts on Butcher's List?
Uh, it was. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
It was. I felt like that was one of the weakest ones. It was
yeah,
just all over because it just was all over the place. Um, Christmas Witch. Honestly, I think I was switching Christmas Witch with the second, or the other one, because my
Scalper.
brain, yeah, because I'm barely hanging on right now. But yeah, no. Yeah. I'm, uh, I liked Christmas Witch. I felt like she was creepier, one of the creepier ones, like creepier than the doll was, and that doll in the scalper one, it was, I liked it. I love that doll. His just all the things surrounding it and what happens at the end. I just kind of was just like, you know, wasn't really sure where it was going to go, and I like that. So that's my correct thoughts.
Yeah.
It just took me a second to restart my brain. I think it went out with your internet.
Internet. Yeah.
But yeah, no. When she just randomly pulled the pin out of that fucking grenade,
Yeah, she had a knife there too. I mean,
I was like, yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, okay, and then the explosion.
yeah.
So it just like like it was just so bad. And I was like, I love this film just for the sheer
Gusto.
like yeah, the whole like how silly the edits were, and I'm not like shitting on it. I think that made this film better.
Yeah, it
Like
does
I
help it stand out. I mean,
like
there's
yeah,
a lot of it's not the most entertaining or enthralling, but it has better moments. Well crafted. Just like it's not a bunch of people in Krampus outfits, poorly made Krampus outfits, spanking ladies' asses. But there's enough charm there, and again, he's like, again, we're repeating ourselves, but he's making do with what he has. And if he has a Windows 95 computer, whatever,
right. No, that's fine. Like uh, it was fine with me.
it
Um,
looked like a PS1 graphic explosion.
it really did.
Yeah.
Maybe an NES. But yeah, no, like I mean, this movie was fine. The wraparound story though, like I liked it, but I felt like they tried a little too hard with it.
They
I
kind of
felt like they,
shoehorned it in.
yeah, I think they
This is
needed
this
it
is the
to
Krampus
tell
because
back.
they wrap around the Krampus with the escape patient at the beginning of the Macho Man Randy Santa. So it's like him and like Krampus just shows up
Yeah,
and then kidnaps the girl.
it's like that poor girl, that poor girl. But yeah, no, like this, you know, we're getting close to the end of our marathon. We got like what, one more
We can get
movie?
probably got one or two.
Yeah, one or two. Um, so far, this is in the running for one of the better ones, uh, which is not too bad,
Yeah, I mean, again,
considering what we have watched.
yeah, but you know how I am with messes. It's just it's hard to when you see something fucking ridiculous like last week. I mean, it's hard. Me
I mean,
personally,
yeah,
I mean, that's how we, when we did, our other marathons, we're always one or two. It's not always the same, and it's just like this is one of those where I'm gonna have to think about it, like how last week's doesn't make the top two. But again, like I said, it's not bad. It has again a lot of, as I said, it's good intentions. It's sort of charming, just like what he's trying to do. But they could have again elaborated maybe a few more. I mean, the scenes like the storyboard sequences was good intentions. And again, some of the stories, actually aren't too bad. Satan's little scalper, Santa's little scalper. Again, I like Butcher's List, but again, there's some moments in there that's not too bad. Um, they could have probably shaved off like Scarecrow one and just like kind of tightened it up a little bit more and maybe elongated some of the other stories because that
Yeah,
Scarecrow one just like was not really necessary.
I think Christmas Witch would have been better had it been if it would have been a little longer so they can draw out the tension in them that because it was
Yeah.
just it happened so fast, and I think that's where it falls apart. Is everything just you know happens just boom 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 boom, and it's just like it doesn't give you time to like process everything that's going on. And I felt like she could have been much more menacing had it built up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
like yeah,
Yeah, there's
you
just like
know
no room to breathe for a lot of the stories. There's just like again like the
yeah, there's
flat
just too much.
the Christmas hell. I mean that was fine, but like again you could have took that out and maybe Scarecrow and like I don't know like Santa's little scalper was kind of a perfect make that the middle story and then maybe start with the Christmas witch or the butcher either or and then you have like the little interlude with the Krampus to get ready and then you have like the Christmas witch and then the butcher's list and then you'd finally finish it off with the wraparound. I mean, it kind of made it a little bit more cohesive, but it's just like there was just like you blink and you're already done, with the story. And like again, those first two could have been shaved a little or taken out completely, and it wouldn't really you're not missing anything besides that great semi truck scene. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
and the
I really don't want that scene to be gone because that scene
no,
was amazing.
exactly.
So
The like the graphics definitely pulled that together.
hmm
It I'm glad that I got to watch this because like one, it's been a while since we've done an anthology film. Um, two, it gave us more to talk about. I felt like than like the last movie
yeah, the
because we were
last
just
couple because we were just running around in circles because it's the same thing. At least there's like again more conversations with all the little different stories,
yeah,
which is
exactly.
good.
And uh, plus, honestly, I feel like Christmas anthologies are my favorite. Um, of all the different types of ones we've watched, just because like it's a series of like Christmas stories,
hmm
and I feel like that's more Christmas because like back in the day they used to get around and tell horror stories, and I feel like that kind of keeps that brings that kind of tradition back of reading horrors, like scary stories to each other. And I really enjoy that. Like for some reason it feels more like Christmas to me than most things. So I always enjoy it.
Yeah, especially when you're not sitting there watching a fetish video for an hour and a half. So
That and when I get bored with that I know that it's going to change here very soon to something different. But I don't know. Like I don't think anything's going to top the that one anthology with one of the reindeers killing people.
yeah,
That's still like
I think that's
I
13
think about it every
Slays.
year.
Yeah, 13
Yeah,
Slays.
that was that's what I want out of that Bambi movie. That's like I want a first person just deer movie killing
I
people
mean,
like
we're gonna have a killer unicorn movie here in the next couple months.
that. I cannot wait. And well, since we're on movies, I didn't even know there was a werewolf movie in theaters right now.
Yeah, it came and went. Werewolves. It's basically sort of like The Purge crossed with the werewolf movie.
Hmm.
Or honestly, it looks like Battle Dogs from the Asylum because that film has like there's a a virus out and all the people turn into werewolves and it's up to the government facility and like it's an asylum film. I mean, but it's again one of the better ones. It's a decent story,
Hey,
but yeah,
did
this one's
you?
like high up
Yeah,
there with um, marketing, even though it wasn't really marketed that much. It's just it was.
I got excited because of Santa Werewolf
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that it came. I wish that would have came out when we were doing the Werewolf marathon, like because that
Yeah.
would have been great. That would have been great timing. But it's kind of funny that it came out in December and it's not a Christmas movie. And when we watched a werewolf movie that was a Christmas movie, not on Christmas, I just thought of that today. I was like, God damn, I'm not gonna watch the trailer because I want to go in blind. I don't want to know anything about this movie when I watch it.
Yeah. Well, I
But
just gave
anyway,
you sort of the Cliff Notes version. Just
yeah, well, it's a werewolf movie, so I expect it to be shitty. So
yeah. Again, it's one of those that's probably going to be forgotten about, like Skinwalkers. That came out in like 2006, and like no one ever references that film, but it's not too bad. Or like
yeah,
the one with Jason Momoa with the biker, where it's basically the Lost Boys, but it's with
I
werewolves on
bought it.
motorcycles.
I own that movie, and
Yeah,
I only watched. My wife and I made it halfway through before we got so bored that we turned it off.
yeah.
That was great. But anyway,
But yeah, I
yeah,
think it was. I don't even think it was supposed to hit theaters, werewolves, because I think it was. I don't know. Maybe it was, but I don't know. It felt like again like one of those that just like slipped through the cracks and got in the theatrical release.
I thought Jason Momoa was the worst part of that movie. It happens.
Yeah, it does.
There's a
But
lot of
yeah, I don't think.
actors that should be in movies.
Yeah, but we got. I don't know. I'm hoping to get to see Nosferatu, but I don't know how everything. Again, it's the weather's bad here, so I don't know how it'll be
Well,
next week.
right, and when it comes to Nosferatu, I'm curious of how they're going to do this because, like, if it's the same as the Dracula story, I mean, it's like almost scene for scene. I'm just curious of why they made this.
Well, I think Robert Eggers was always aiming to do this, and it just finally got around to it. But
I
again,
just want them to
there's
do their own
every
thing.
few years, every few years, but like every decade, there's like a new Nosferatu. Of course, you had like the original, and then you had the '70s with Klaus Kinski, and then you have this one. So it's like every so I wouldn't say 20 years, but every other decade, we get a Nosferatu.
Right.
And it's like every other decade we get a Invasion of the Body Snatchers film. You get the 50s, the 70s, the 90s, and then the one with Nicole Kidman. So sooner or later we're going to get another one. Even though they have made like a lot of low budget ones, exactly basically Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But I'm talking
Yeah.
about Hollywood because you had to churn out the same property.
I think they're being a little, they're getting on my nerves with that actually. And I'm usually like, I always support them putting out remakes just because it makes the old stuff available again, where you can buy it in stores. And, but like, it's just like they're making a new Superman movie.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead. They're making, there's just so many different, like I just keep seeing like remake, and I'm like, is that all we're gonna get this next? I'm kind of worried that like the next couple of
Legacy
years we're gonna
sequel,
lose.
remake. I don't know.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to make League of Extraordinary Gentlemen remake that movie.
That put Sean Connery out of acting.
I love that movie because it was so bad. But I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. This is why we stick to these little indie things because at least they have an excuse.
Yeah. And there's some fun to be had with them. So they might not be the greatest, but again, we bear witness to some crazy things.
I'm glad that we just started going to that instead of trying to just watch what was in theaters.
Yeah.
Especially after that one year where like nothing came out and we didn't have a show for like months. That's why we're on 300. We
Yeah.
would be on like 500, 600 if it hadn't been all the breaks that we take.
Yeah.
Which
Again,
is
things happen, and we make do with what we have. I mean, we're like the indie filmmakers. We make do. Whenever we're together and we come together and we produce a show, and we give it our all each time.
And none of this gab is rehearsed.
Yeah.
We just go in. We don't even know what we're gonna say.
Nope. The internet goes out, for crying out loud. Sometimes it just cuts us out. Like, nope, you're done. Like, all right. The dice is rolled. Fate has given us no show tonight. 10 minutes of a show. But no, it's always fun. It's great. And again, I wouldn't do it with anybody else. I mean, it's crazy that you're sticking around. You stuck around this long, but I got you there.
I mean, what next year is 12 years.
Yeah.
12, yeah. Because we started in 2013. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The shit we watch, but again, it's fun. It's just we just chit chat and shoot the shit, and that's all we care about. And as long if we get some enjoyment out of it, I'm hopeful that other people's get a kick out of it as well. We're just it's just two guys shooting the shit, talking to horror movies and bad horror movies at that. But
yeah,
I think we have next week's episode planned. I'm pretty sure because I already know what that was, and if I knew any better, we'd have done that tonight. But it just dropped, so hopefully we'll do that next week. I'm planning on it. That's going to be an interesting watch, because they don't really do that many horror films in that vein. Even though I think it's just going to be a plain Jane slasher film, but I don't know. They could do something interesting. And then we'll end it with something interesting, as we do. We have no rhyme or reason for anything. It's just like, hey, this sounds interesting. Let's review that. So that's what we do. And sometimes we just let a wheel decide of it. And that's what we did with tonight. And it turned out to be a pretty interesting little review, I think. And Ian, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a show because I think both of us are about down to the grave and about to put a barrel of a shotgun in our mouths. Tired. We're not doing that. It's just we're tired. It's been a long
just chugged
week
a whole energy drink and I think it's kicking in. So
it's just been a busy week on both our ends, and
a
lot of things have happened behind the scenes. Again, just real life problems comes in the way, but we hunker down and do a show, and again, we're almost halfway there to the actual runtime of the film. But anyway, I digress. Ian, as always, it's great talking with you.
Likewise.
Merry Christmas, person to person, you and the family, and everyone else for listening. We thank you and hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. And we will see you next time on Horror Not Oasis.
Try not to get spanked by any Krampus.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Bye.